Peace, YouTube. Hey, everyone. Check on him. Hey, everyone. Check on him. I think you're on here, yeah. Obviously, someone's doing something.
No victims, no villains, no form, no figure, no limits, just visions. Surrender ego to mingle with the divine, and please wipe your feet before you enter my mind. I'm barefoot, sitting in the lotus. Focus on my kundalini, have you taken notice? Thinking I need less, I think that it's needless. Speaking of weedless, I'm learning to need less. And over drama, the Dalai Mama in Nirvana. Flirting with the flora and I'm floating with the fauna. Sailing the sweet towel, we be in and now. They said they wanna find the art of chill, I'm teaching them how. It's cause I've been on my let it glow. Metaphysical flow, entering the indigo. And now it seems that life is but a dream, and the cloth of our reality is leaking at the seams, but it's lucid. I take my noose in, I feel it loosen, now we cruising. And on the truth that I be inducing, naked activated from the root up to the crown. It's amazing in the void until you come back down. But if I can't keep calm, I just keep on. So songs to get my reborn and just breathe on and be the queen of the Renaissance, mother of the new era. Let my tiara get free and recognize that.
Realize that all matter is merely energy condensed to a slow vibration, that we are all one consciousness experiencing itself, subjective. There is no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we are the imagination of ourselves. Here's common weather.
If every 8-year-old was taught their meditation, I think we'd have peace for an entire generation. Set the times ablaze, we do it in waves and be brave like ancestors on slave ships for days. Stomach churning cause the world is burning, and we inhaling a second hand, but I got a second plan. Carry the camaraderie to continents. We don't need religion cause we got our consciousness. And I ain't just an optimist.
Thor, behave yourself.
New earth is coming, ain't no stopping this. Say goodbye to bye, can soon die. All my realized beings will spread wings and fly.
That we are all one consciousness experiencing itself.
Like that? Woo! Big up to Nitty Scott. If you didn't know who that is, that's Nitty Scott. It's called Generation Now, so check that out. You know, my playlist is long and it's real appropriate. So big up to everyone. Peace to the east, the west, north, and the south. Welcome for another topic of discussion. I'm not going to stay on too long with you. I kind of want to touch on this. Whenever I get a revelation, I kind of want to come on really quick and kind of share it. Let me start off by saying this for those who want me to talk about Amari West. Big up to Amari West. He had gotten the message, and it's literally there is a shift. Okay, so if anybody was worried about, you know, Amari, he's fine, and he took some of the first steps. It looks a little crazy out there, but do know, you know, I think Donda spiritually came through. So big up to all those who really assisted and really helped in making him wake up. You know, we did that yesterday, and I left a cryptic message that was actually taken. It was read and it was applied. And you know, we always want to wish someone well, especially in this time when everyone is going through their change and their shift and their revelations, and we want to make sure that we support those who wake up. So big up to all those in the house who assisted yesterday in sending beautiful, energetic, amazing energies to Amari. And you know, now he is feeling you know, woke. So anyway, let's go into the topic of discussion. So big up for everyone. Listen, we're going to talk about Nibiru and inner Earths, the treaties that are occurring within inner Earth dynamics. The hierarchy is being reestablished. Okay. So a lot of times when you talk about inner Earth, a lot of people, you know, it's kind of like a phantasmic vantage point, because there isn't an awareness that inside of the earth there are beings that are higher frequency than us, many different types, races, species of beings that coexist cohesively and you know, and simultaneously to our surface being living. Okay, so many of you may hear stories of inner earth, Agartha, Shangri-La, Pinanan. Many of the different Sanskrit have actually locations and geographical pinpoints of portals and open gates that you can actually enter into the forms of the different portals that take you into different parts of the inner earth. Now, if this isn't something, let me state this, because there are different people with different forms of awareness. We don't want to attack on someone. Listen, if this isn't your cup of tea, if this conversation, because somebody had a criticism about, you know, Nibiru. If Nibiru isn't something that resonates with you, or Niburians or Anunnaki or spaceships or UFOs, that doesn't resonate with you, then it's okay that the things sometimes I share with you resonate. And I suggest that you kind of like exit stage left, because what happens a lot of times is there's a lot of people who are so adverse to any connection to celestials or any conversation about it, that they kind of bring in that negation and negative energy. Listen, if you don't have to believe anything I say, nor do you have to, you know, jump on a bandwagon of this concept that, you know, there are inner earth beings or beings that live outside of our spectrum of perception, okay? The perception that we call our reality. And it's okay. But it is what I know to be, and those mostly here who are from this channel, who rock with this channel, this is a UFO extraterrestrial channel, just mostly. I touch on other things, but that's just because I do. All right, so let's talk about the Niburians and the new treaties that are coming online. As you know, Nibiru is coming in. And also, if you had a chance, there was an earthquake 7.9 that occurred in Alaska. So big up to all our Alaskan family. I hope you're safe. I hope you're thriving. You know, that actual earthquake came because there was an asteroid. Ow, something bit through my wrap. There was an asteroid flyover that was over 1 million miles away. It was like 4 million miles away, and it still caused that kind of magnetic shift that ended up at the same time as that asteroid came. And it wasn't close, family. It wasn't even that close. That's when Alaska had that. No, it was actually an asteroid. It's a fact. You can actually look it up. At the time the asteroid kind of came around our neck of the woods in a far off distance, it caused an angular kind of you know, magnetic influx, and it caused that earthquake 7.9 in Alaska. So wishing everybody in Alaska safety and wellness. Okay, hopefully you guys were all okay, didn't impede on you. All right. So talking about that, with Nibiru coming into into Earth's orbital space, okay, it does cause upheaval in the magnetic field and a gravitational pull. You can feel the difference. I always say that, how do you notice the difference in the magnetic frequency shifting or the gravitational pull changing? Things don't seem as congruent anymore or tangible. What do I mean by that? Everything seems dreamy. It's like a dream, okay? Everything's kind of dreamy. There isn't anything that's fully solidified. That's because the gravitation is changing, is a little bit of a shift in the magnetic field, and we're used to sitting geomagnetically on one point, and we feel it. Our biosphere feels the difference, even if we don't cognitively accept the difference, okay? So that being said, there is a reestablishment of the hierarchy, that a new hierarchy that is going to be reestablished on the global spectrum of the surface of the planet. Now, I don't know what your awareness is, so we'll go into the inner earth. Inner earth has many different nations, different cities. It has its own magnetic sun that looks blue. If you've been a part of this platform for a while, you remember I had contact with the gentleman from very brown being from the inner earth, and he had the blue field over his eyes. If you want to get an idea of what this is, watch the movie Dune. Remember Dune had the zest, okay? Whenever somebody was exposed to it, their eyes would get this bluish field around their eyes. Most of the inner earth beings, brown, dark brown, reptilian, the subterranean reptilians live under there. The blue beings live under there. These gelatinous looking, very pale, bald-headed kind of very pale people that look like the guy from Powder. They live in there. There are short little pygmies that were from Ireland. That's where you get the story of the leprechauns. The leprechauns were actually African pygmy looking people. They weren't fair skinned with red hair. They actually had very, very dark skin, and they had gold all over them. And they would come through the portals through the rainbow. So it actually was a true story that when there was a rainbow, there was a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And it really was these pygmy people that always had these big blocks of gold on them, very short people, and people would spot them in, and that's where the whole concept of the Twa. Thank you. It's also called the Twa. Thank you, my love, Papa. It's called the Twa people. And that's where you get the concept of the leprechauns. And they're very mischievous. They always had gold, and many people had a chance, many people had the chance to, come upon these beings, you know what I mean, during that time. So all the tales and everything is very true, and they would come in through the portal. So there's a portal that would come up on the top end of the rainbow, but underneath the top end, when there was a rainbow like this, it was an inverted one, and that's usually when it would come in through those portals. And some people would see them in Ireland, and then they'd be in some parts of Africa, okay, because the portals, it was almost like transportation, it's a form of transportation, okay? So they would like go here, blink in, and then they'd be in Africa, okay? Those are the Twa people, the leprechauns, okay? So those beings also live in the inner earth. You also have those beings that are living in the different layers. You have different grays, ant-type beings that live in the different parts and layers of Earth. Earth isn't just one layer. It has a multitude of layers, usually interconnected through caves and caverns. The mer people, big up to all those connected to the mer family. The mermaids have access to a lot of these inner Earth portals, because remember, underneath the waterways, there's tons of caverns, taverns that kind of go into these inner Earth worlds. And even if you hear the story of like Peter Pan and what have you, you get these. A lot of these fairy tales are interconnected to the truth of what coexists with us, okay? So the inner earth beings now are in working in alignment with the Niburians that are here. A lot of the Niburians are coming in through portals, because they're close enough to do forms of teleportation. Okay, so because the ships have to be to a certain degree of a certain distance from Earth, and you can't teleport if you too. I'm sorry, my lip is really dry. You can't do teleportation if you're too far in distance. So just like if you see in movies, the ships have to be in a certain proximity in order to do appropriate teleportation. If beings are traveling otherwise, it's usually through jump rooms or stargates or through black holes or through vortexes, okay? So the closer it is to Earth, they're allowed for teleportation. So there's been teleportation of quite a few of the Niburian Council that are actually working in alignment with a lot of the mer, the higher hierarchy of the mer beings that many Christian churches are telling people to stay away from. That's your mer family. And they're working in alignment with the tribes that coexist in the inner earth, and they're reestablishing the hierarchy, okay? Everyone's aware now. Hopefully you're aware of the crystal cities that were built. For those of you who won't be rocking it out on the surface of the planet, some people will be going on the inner earth, okay? The crystal cities were built for the reprieve, for those refugees. I would call them surface earth refugees that are high enough in frequency to be able to be reestablished in some of these inner earth crystal cities, okay? Someone asked, how would you know? You would already have dreams about the crystal cities, okay? They do exist. Some people dream about being in them. This is when you have higher fields of technology. The inner earth beings are way higher in frequency and in intellect and technology than those on the surface. And I love when Dr. Delbert Blair used to say to us all the time, he was like, the smartest beings always live in the inner part of the planetoid rather than the outer. On the surface is a lot of radiation. We've been impeded by radiation. That's why we're shorter. Okay, we're actually like the dwarfs. We're actually like dwarfs in the comparison to some of the inner earth beings. They're giants. They're really tall. And again, on the inner earth, there is a bluish sphere that is their sun. It's a magnetic sphere. That's why their eyes turn blue, because the sun is blue on the inside. Okay. Because this cycle is ended and beginning, now we're starting to see the council set up a reestablishment of hierarchies that will be in rulership rather in guidance. I don't want to say rulership, because the next cycle will be more guidance, and there will be multitude of tribes, only a few that are coexisting on the surface of the planet. Others will be going into the inner earth, and some will be going travel galactically. Now, those traveling galactically have to have a certain gene pool, and they have to have a heightened amount of melanin. So those who are traveling galactically most likely would have a lot of melanin and really tight coily hair. Okay, to get past that Van Allen belt, that's why the Niburians are so dark and highly melanated, whether it's green or bluish field or dark carbon. They have to have that melanin because it protects them from the radiation that they get pummeled with when passing that Van Allen belt. Okay, nobody wants to talk about this. That's why there's a lot of hatred and xenophobia here on Earth, because there's an understanding that the beings that galactically travel are very, very dark and melanated. So there's kind of like this undertone of abuses that happen to highly melanated people who have a connection to those celestial beings, because there's an understanding already, or an awareness that some don't want to acknowledge that these beings will be coming here. And when that happens, it's going to cause a lot of suicides. It will cause a lot of people to lose their minds. They won't want to be here knowing that those beings are basically holding home court advantage. It will be very frightening to many people. Okay, even brown people. I'm not talking just lunars. Everybody's going to be frightened when you see dark spheric, dark green people, very dark blue people, and dark brown, black. I want to say black, like, carbon beings. Okay, they're coming here, so it would be frightening for someone to see tall, lean beings like that. Now, if you want to get an idea of that, they look a little similar to the Centaurians, like Sudanese. They have that phenotype. When you read Norman Brugman's book, you should really read Norman Brugman's book, Saturn, the book about Saturn. It will detail the look of these people, and people have seen them before. So it's not to say that they don't exist in the extraterrestrial ET community. It frightens a lot of people. So a lot of times they won't talk about it, or they'll just say they're dark beings. A lot of your references to dark beings, oh, the Dark Lord, those are all extraterrestrials. Okay, even the Satanists and the Luciferians are worshiping the dark being, that dark melanated being. That is an extraterrestrial. Okay, ringmakers to Saturn. Thank you, Vanessa. So we do know that we're going to be having after post pole shift, after a few years of the reestablishment of the different tribal bases, along with the hierarchy that will be reestablished, inner earth beings won't any longer be staying in inner earth. They will come out, because the magnetic field will match them enough so that they won't be handicapped by the low frequency, that having only the one solar energy there. The 3 triple suns allows for certain type of beings to live under that frequency. That's why you're seeing people struggle. If you're struggling, it's because you're not matching what was originally here. The original beings here matched enough, so they were able to take the impeded magnetic energy that comes with the triple sun. That's why they were very carbon, very, 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 very dark beings. Okay, they had to be that way to be able to absorb that that radiation, that cosmic radiation that's coming here. Okay, those triple suns. Even now, like I'm here in Florida, I'm holding that. It feels like I'm in Africa. I told y'all, since I've been back from the beach, I was like, I feel like I'm in Africa. You feel the difference in temperature, and mind you, they're still Well, they're not chemtrailing as much, but they're still covering the skies. If they did not cover the skies, remember, a lot of these beings are doing that so they can preserve and give and buy more time. If they didn't cover the sky, we would have had massive amount of radiation. There's a lot of people in Australia that have melanoma and all these crazy skin viruses and skin cancers. It's because first of all, they shouldn't be in Australia. I told my fair skinned Australians that you should not be in Australia. This is not the time where you should try to test that. In South Africa as well. The magnetic energy is so high and so strong that unless you have a qualified amount of that it's euromelanin. It's eumelanin. You gotta be careful because eumelanin is a certain type of melanin that can absorb that radiation. The other form of melanin is kind of like inside, so you gotta be careful. So you don't want to be exposed to that at this time. I tell all my lunars, I tell you, like when I was in Vermont, I loved it, but I wasn't my cup of tea because me biologically, I couldn't really handle the higher altitude and phenomelanin. Thank you, Nabia. I couldn't really handle the higher. Remember, I had a headache, my nose, I couldn't breathe. That's because biologically, I wasn't made to be higher up. You know, my nose is wider. I'm meant to be lower, more tropical based. So it was very difficult, but I said to my lunar family that was there, they did well, like physically. And I was like, yo, y'all need to go to the mountains and like places like that where it's cooler and also it's higher up. I felt like my lunar family did better there. So I always give you like that as saying, I found that was more cohesive to a much more fair skin. It was cooler. It was higher in altitude. Like I said, my lunar family there, they were having an amazing time there. I suffered a little bit. You know what I mean? I keep it real. I suffered a little bit. So we have this Niburian council meeting up. So teleportation is coming. And that's also why they set up the satellites, because they didn't want them teleporting in the inner earth. Okay, a lot of the teleportation is happening in the inner earth. It isn't happening on the surface. So as far as I know, the Mer family now, how I know the Mer family is getting heavily, contacted and having a big stake in the way that our hierarchy will be set up is because of the push of Christians demonizing the Marines. Okay, I saw this years ago. Big up to the sisters who did the show. I did their show years ago. And I wasn't aware that there was a Christian sect, especially in Africa. I had no clue until like, what was it, 4 years ago? Was it 4 years ago? Some of you know more so than I. Hey, my love. Hey, Dollface. Do you guys remember? Some of you were on here. You probably know the year. I don't remember the year. It was like, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago when Kendra did the show? And she was the one who made me aware that they were, the Christian church, especially in African diaspora, were putting a push on giving exorcisms and demonizing people's Mer family and their Marine family. I was like, oh, it was 4 years ago. Thank you, Salu. Yo, I was like, wait a second, what? I didn't even know there was any such thing. Like, why would they do that? But then I realized, they already have an awareness that many people who have the Mer gene in them, the Mer big up to all the Mer family in the house, the Nomos, the Alpha Centaurians, all you aquatic beings. A lot of you are already having your dreams in water. And I always say to you quickly, when people ask me, how do you know if you're a mermaid? If you're dreaming that you're breathing in water, it's always a good indication because you have memories. The memories of you being in the waterways, you always have the memories of having gills. Sometimes when you always feel like something's here, or you always feel like you can't breathe unless this is like rubbed, those are also indications that you used to be a mermaid or you're grafted from that lineage. Okay, they are here. And many of you are mixed with them, so you have those dreams. So I always know a full on, whether it's an incarnation of being a mermaid or those who have the actual gene of the mermaids. Some of you have the web fingers. Okay, I think I shared the picture. Did I not share? I don't know if I shared the picture here. Where, family? I don't know where I got so many pictures. Did I show you the picture? Did you guys? Okay, I don't know if I showed you the picture. There are people who were born with the web hands. Did I show you guys that? I don't know. I don't know if I showed it to you. Okay, Dollface, you have the web hands. The thicker thighs. I love. Big up to our C Star from Facebook and from Cypher. hold on. She was the one who was talking about the mer women in Charlotte, North Carolina, no, South Carolina, because the mermaids are also thicker on the bottom. So you'll notice a lot of the mermaids are very thick. Their thighs are big, like their hips and their thighs. It's because they're used to have a huge, that whole skin used to be, you know, it's almost like the thighs are supposed to try to merge again, the thickum thighs. That is all mer people. Okay, a lot of the women who have them thicker thighs, that bottom kind of thickness, those are like mer qualities. Webbed fingers, thick bottoms, memories, sleeping and remember conjoined, yes, conjoined, AJ, breathing underneath the water. That's all connected to the MERS. Okay, so the web fingers are really big, and you know, they'll try to demonize little children that have it. Some of you've had it and you don't even realize it. You have it. Okay, the MER family in this, though they don't hold what I consider to be a home court advantage, they wouldn't. They're because they're kind of like third generation migrants from Sirius. Big up to our Sirius crew. They're third generation migrants. So they don't really hold home court advantage. The Subterraneans and Niburians have home court advantage, okay? But as far as the Mer, they do have a stake and a hierarchy in this one, okay? So if you're having any dreams or anything, that's because your Mer family is reestablishing hierarchy, and you will also be drawn to doing things that are water based, okay? Remember, we're going to water world, so many of our Alpha Centaurians, those who are part of the Mer family, you're going to start to be drawn into fields of like teas and liquids, or you know, doing what is it, the inside waterways, waterworks, sprinklers. You're going to be having this connection to water, and you should start to realize that if you have that DNA, it's going to start to show up. So you might start getting a field over your eyes. Sometimes the Mer people, I think only 2 people I know who have this. I have heard of this from other platforms. They get this field over their eyes, like it's like a little veil over their eyes. That's mermaids, like a little veil, like a skin over the eyes. Okay, you're gonna crave salt. You like being on beaches. You're gonna actually hear the sirens, or the call of the sirens. You can actually hear it. So I also know, and I would have done that this year if I would have gone back to Brazil. Big up to my Brazilian family in Bahia. I was actually going to go back to Brazil and bring a bunch of my own, you know, our sea stars, and actually we were going to sit and do the call. And I know if you were genetically connected to them, because you can hear their song. You hear the horns, you know, the horns that they blow. You can actually hear it if you're connected, because your DNA remembers. So you have the ability. It's like a dog whistle. You may not be able to hear a dog whistle, but they hear you know, the dog hears dog whistles. It's the same thing with certain lineage and certain certain mermaids. They can hear certain things because, remember, they're they're more sonically based. So when you're on the beach and you're sitting there, for those who have the lineage of the Mers, Jemija, Isis, you would be able to hear. You hear the horn. Some of you hear the horn, you hear the singing, you'll hear the bells. That's all because you're connected to them lineage wise. So do listen now. If you go to the beach now, especially Virginia Beach, anybody in Virginia? Big up to all our Virginia family. Anybody in Virginia or North Carolina, go, if you get a chance to go to the beachways and they let you sit at night, then get a chance to sit at night. And if you can, this is the best time because it's quiet, not so many people. You'll actually, if you're connected to the family, you'll hear it. I'm telling you, family, it's bugged out when you hear it. You'll be like, oh, snap, Fleur is right. You'll think I'm lying to you, and you think I'm making it up until you hear it. So I don't have to really prove anything, because I know that you'll hear it. This is one of those things. I don't have to fake the funk, because I know that the truth will read the revelation. Because every time I say it, when it's somebody who's part of that lineage, they'll be like, I thought you were lying. Everybody says it. Fleurbrun, they'll tell me this. Listen to what they say. I thought you were making it up. I thought you were making up, Fleurbrun. Until they go and they're like, oh, shoot. She was telling the truth, okay? All right, so where does this land? So now that we have a reestablishment, remember, we're going to go into water worlds. The North Pole is moving. It will be in the middle between Brazil and, Benin and Africa. You have that that bridge that used to be connected between Africa and South America, that bridge is starting to come up. Even the land, you can see it now. So it's starting to come up in South America. The new North Pole will be roughly somewhere in the middle of those two. It's going to be very cold in that place. That's where the ice age will probably be, in that area. Got to be careful in that localized area because it's going to be very cold. Now I understand, overstand, and understand. While the Germans were in Nambia, and the Germans are in Gramado in southern Brazil, because I was wondering myself, why would the Germans go here? Because remember, they got intel from the inner earth beings and futuristic beings that were living in the inner earth. Big up to the inner earth beings who gave them intel. That's why they were coming for the Zionists, because they knew the Khazars was about to take over. Okay. So they hooked everything, they hooked them up with intel saying it was going to be cooler there. So if you go to places like Bigotu, our Brazilian, bom dia to our Brazilian family. So anyone in southern Brazil, it's going to be cold there, like frigid cold. And remember, the Germans were all in the North Pole. So basically, they're going to be in the new North Pole already. They already set up shop. And I didn't really I solidified this by doing my research on Nambia, because Nambia is beautiful. It's on the western part of Africa, which is across and adjacent to South America. So when you look at Nambia and you see a lot of the Africans, you're like, you see in Africa, you got German settlers. I already know that the Germans had the intel. And if they're there, it's because they know something preempt and they're setting up shop. Okay, so you can always look into these things, verify what I'm saying. You may think I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I always say verify. Don't believe anything I say. It could be all kinds of crazy. Go do your verification. Don't be lazy. Do your research. You can find these things out fairly easy. Okay. So we're going through a pole shift. So Niburians have home court advantage. Now, remember, the Niburians are not just one sect. Let me state this. I come from the sect of the serpent. Big up to all the nigga in the house. What up, my nigga? Big up to all the serpents in the house. Put your snakes up. I'm an elemental. Put your snakes up. So the niggas are coming in home court advantage, along with the Mayan, which are the Andromedans. So a lot of the Incan bloodline, very much the females, are coming online. Yeah. And because of that, they hold home court advantage. That's why it's called Planet X. It's a matriarchy. So matriarchy holds the next home court, and because of that, they're going to reestablish how things will be, how things will balance out. Now, mind you, there is a push to try to destroy females and we talked about this yesterday and the day before. And you have to realize that the reason why they're trying to take all the eggs from females and trying to take all the wombs is basically because they're trying to halt the feminine energy and halt what is the reestablishment of the hierarchy of the dominant queendom that will coexist here. Now, a lot of males will say, oh, Fleurbrun, what are you saying? That's so imbalanced. You're saying men ruled, patriarchy ruled, and it wasn't right. When matriarchy was in rulership, especially when she's going to be balanced, especially she's gone through her karmic shift, reason why we overstand this cycle is because everything is relative. When you overgo a level of ascension, you have to go through the process of, curing your ailments, your spiritual ailments. Okay, we gain a certain amount of spiritual evolution through the process of, oh, thank you, Truth Seeker. I appreciate it, my love. Thank you. We go through the process of, clearing, and clearing is karmic clearances. If you were the devil in the last cycle, you're going to be an angel in this one. It's vice versa. Black, if you were dark brown in last cycle, I told you a lot of your biggest people who were racist, that were so-called racists, like Lunars that were in the 60s and someone who died, they came back as Negroes in the hood right now. And they're experiencing a level of a tyranny. Okay, that is part of the remedying, and it is the balancing of the beams. So that's why you don't have to worry if somebody's heinous and biased, because they will experience the other side of what they induce. Okay, so if they're giving someone poison, they're going to be served poison on a plate as well. Okay, so you don't have to worry about heinous people, and you have to be careful. Big up to Jewel Brookman, who taught me this well. You don't have to worry about people that you were seeing undergoing and overgoing. Oh, thank you, Truth Seeker. Thank you for helping me with my father's transition. Oh, it's really helped, and I'm grateful. Dear Truth, okay, Truth Seeker. So Truth Seeker, is our Famille from from Cypher, and she was actually the one we were talking. She was the one who let me know there's a lot of mer people in South Kakalaki. I love it. And also she's an herbalist, and she has healing tea. So I'm gonna share her link. Big up to you, C Star. I shared it on another platform. I'm gonna share her link. She's amazing. Her father transitioned as well. Rest in power, daddy. He created a beautiful spirit, a beautiful young lady. Beautiful energy, and she's taking everything that she's earned and learned. Listen, earned and learned, and she's initiating that to assist with others in healing. So I'm going to share her link, and you guys always support the Sea Stars when they're doing such positive things. This is how we push ourselves forward, and we support the sisterhood. Okay, so we have the establishment of the matriarchy, and again, I was just saying about the remedy. Drew Brookman made me aware that what we do is our karma, and we have to be careful. Like today, I had to learn a lesson, and I learned it well because I kind of got it. You have to be mindful. If you're seeing someone, you get what you deserve. And no one likes hearing that, but it's true. You get what you deserve. So if you're seeing someone experience a level of disheartenment, or you're seeing them experience tyranny, you have to understand and understand that they are qualified for that karma. Okay, we don't know who they were in their past life. I've actually seen white black supremacists. You know why I've seen them? I can see the lunars who were heinous, spitting, throwing rocks, and who noosed a lot of brown people who have reincarnated in brown people experiencing a whole lot of hell right now. I can see it in them. I can see lunars in their eyes. If you don't get what I'm saying, you need to watch The Skeleton Key. What you do is your karma. So all these heinous lunars back in the days lynching brown children and raping, they're reincarnated as really brown people who are experiencing hell. Okay? And brown people who experience a level of tyranny or a certain kind of disheartenedship will go in the opposite as well. And you can see it. Like you see certain sea stars that are lunars, you could tell they were sisters in the back. You ever meet a lunar and she was a sister? You could just tell by her behavior and her compassion. I know many of you know that. Dollface is like that. So when you know what I mean, you meet a lunar, right? She's fair, but she got sister all over her. Her behavior, her compassion, her love, even her goals. You see it in lunar males too. You see lunar males that are like, they like dudes, they like brown dudes. It's like, yo, wait, where are you from? You listening to what? And it's all in their soul because they've been reincarnated in the opposite. So we feel it. Your shell, this skin is just a shell, y'all. This is a shell, this is an avatar. We take it off like suits. You know what I'm saying? We take it off like zoot suits. When this is done, we're going to pick another avatar. It may not even be human next cycle. You may be a blue being. You may end up being your waterways. Some of you are going to go back to your celestial homes. So you got to be really mindful to keep from judging people based on complexions. We talked about it. Species matters. Things are based in hierarchy of species. But a lot of times when you're judging people, listen, I got homies in every complexion, and I tell you, it's beautiful. And I can see their zest. You know what I mean? Their essence. Okay, but when we start talking about species, then you get into like different snacks. You talk about the draconians, you talk about people who are subterranean reptilians, you talk about the zeta reticulans, you talk about the Pelagians, the Octorians, you talk about the Syrians, you talk about all of the the Alpha Centaurians, you talk about the Mer family, you could talk about all forms of these beings. These are all different species. Okay, some of them get along and some don't. That's why I say when we talk about the treaties of the inner earth and Niburians, it is literally a treaty that you will see play out in physical space. So those who are basically kin or famille or lineage to the Niburians, they will have a closeness. They don't even understand it themselves, a closeness to those who are inner earth beings and mer beings. Okay, by the nature of them already having these established treaties, there's an inner knowing that those people are safe zones. Okay, I'm just saying, so just be mindful when you resonate with somebody. Like there are people I resonate with, and I'm like, why do we resonate? And I'm not gonna judge it because something in their spirit, something inside of them is in kinship with me. And then you'll meet people that are totally adverse. You're like, yo, they look like me. Why am I averse to them? Because they aren't the same kin. Because they share the same skin doesn't mean they're your kin. I got brown sisters. I told you, they came for me when I did my first conference. It was brown sisters who did it. Second conference, it was brown sisters who did it. And these are supposed to look like me. That's what I'm saying. Be mindful. Be mindful. It's not what you think it is. So let's get into the treaties that are coming in and being established. You're going to start to see the breaking down of the old system. We're already seeing it. The dollar crashed already. It's done. We talked about that. I'm not going to get into other forms of what you need. You should be prepared already. If you've been a part of my platform, you already know. I don't want to reiterate over and over what you should have, could have, would have done. If you're about that life, you should already be in that life. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna fall off a spaceship now and just wake up. You already on your spaceship. You got in a spaceship. You ride in a spaceship, and you here. Okay. We're gonna look kind of like Star Wars. So I want you guys for homework tonight. Big up to all our Star Wars, our Trekkies in the house. Boop boop boop. Your homework tonight is to see the Star Wars series. That is our story. That is what we are experiencing, and we're going to experience that. So when you see Star Wars and them being in the desert, and that, you know, the houses, how they look like igloos, that is Earth. Okay, that is our story. So I want you to take a look at the Starch State Troopers. Take a look at the way that they had the system set up. Star Wars is how we're going to engage. We won't on any longer be set only on Earth. Our children will be traveling, and they will be going on trips, field trips with other children to go and visit closer star systems. Okay. Oh, Tasha said she looks like two suns, 6:30 this morning. Thank you, Tasha. Tasha just gave me intel. She saw two suns this morning. I know you did. So you will, little igloos, sand igloos, okay? We will already have the hoverboards because of the way that our magnetic field will be. Our magnetic field is going to shift, and our gravitational pull won't be the same anymore, family, okay? It won't be the same, okay? So your gravitational pull is what gets this congruency to what you see and perceive and your reality, because we have the shift and the literal gravitational pull breaking apart, you know, kind of changing. The way that we will be heavy or dense will change. So our physical body is also changing because of the incoming Nibiru, which is a huge planetoid. It's also assisting with all of the changes on Earth. And also you're changing because of the shift, okay? This is what happens every 3,600 years. It wasn't always like this, but it happens, okay? So for those who are part of, okay, so I don't want to go off tip. So please put a like on the video if you're up for the shenanigans. I only see 800 people, please. I appreciate it when you put a like, so I know that you like the content and you know you want to hear more conversations about this, please. I always appreciate it. Okay, so let's go into the inner earth beings, the Agarthan beings. Now, some of you are actually from these beings. Now, I will say this. If you've born with the 6-finger, webbed fingers, a field over your eyes. Some people had the veil over their face as babies. Some people were born with the veil. You have the golden glaze over your eyes. You were born with white hair. What else? Some of you have webbed toes. Some of you don't float. You sink. Okay. So there's a cocktail of ingredients for a lot of the different beings that are now taking hold of the new hierarchy. Okay. For that reason, you're going to start to have dreams, and you're going to have remembrance. Okay. So for those who are from the Anunnaki, the Niburians, now mind you, the Anunnaki is not one, and there are many beings living on Nibiru. Let me state this again. I may talk about the Nega, but by far it is a bigger planetoid than here. You think we have different species on one Earth? Do you know the multitude? You got Lyrians living on there, bird type beings, these crow looking women that look like beings. You have this gelatinous beings. You have you have the bird beings. You have the cat beings on there. Oh, you have like, I know Anubis, the concept of Anubis, it's not normal on that planet, on Nibiru to my knowledge, but I know there's entities that have the lichen like wolf energy. So a lot of our wolves may be acting. So those from Alaska are places where there's a lot of wolves. There might be a difference in behavioral pattern because there is a type of lichen that is on that planetoid Nibiru. I I don't know much about it, but I know it's connected to the wolves here. So if you're getting any pattern of behavior that's different, for those of you who live in like places where there's wolves more in the Nordic places, please hit me up, because I can't really document what I don't know. I just know some of the intel, but obviously I need more solidification. What else lives on that planet? There's serpent, obviously Nega serpent lives on that planet. Now, Nega serpent is a matriarchy. It's a female-based system. Now, remember the Mayan women, the empires. Oh, a ladybug came in. It's good luck. Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. That's good luck. I mean, I'm doing a good job. Sometimes I need that, because sometimes I just think I'm talking, and I need that sometimes. I appreciate that. That was from Goddess. I appreciate that. Thank you. Wow. So you are starting to see the matriarchy home court advantage. Okay, so she comes and she reestablishes a queendom. The queendom, why it's important for this to be established, that's why they're coming so hard. The dark Kabbalists and the Zionists and the Khazars, they are anti-women because they know what that means for them. Women rule differently than males, and we haven't been the best in the past. So we were leveled with karma, and now a womanship, a womanship is coming with that planetoid. And because of that, the women who are upholding themselves with integrity and higher values will start to hold positions in their tribal base. So you will start to see establishment of tribes. You're probably seeing it already with women holding, especially elders holding position of hierarchy. So you will start to see grandmothers, abuelas, women of a certain age starting to start communities and tribes, and those tribal bases will be participating as some of the council that will be reestablished on Earth. Notice I said reestablished on Mother Tiamat, okay? Aquaterra is her name in the future, okay? 'Cause she will be a water world again. These new established environments will lead with women, mothers, grandmothers, who will reestablish liaisons between the celestials, the inner Earth, and also the Aquarian beings. Okay, many of your native groups are now reestablishing their hierarchies. If you're starting to see, some of you are from the indigenous lines, your tribes, you're starting to see a lot of issues with the male tribe members, and you're starting to see a reestablishment of female-based principles and values. Okay, grandmothers will take over that higher tier. And if you aren't down with integrity, you won't be a party to any hierarchy, a higher hierarchy within that lineage. They do, they do mark you according to your auric zest. So many of us walk around with our auras. I see your zest, your colors, and some of you see colors on people, but they have a heightened amount. They can actually see your binary codes, and they see everything. It's almost like having access to your blueprint. Okay, they have access to your blueprint. So when a being sees you from a higher field of consciousness and celestial wise or inner Earth, they actually perceive you based on your field. Okay, so they know if you're a dirty dog. You know what I mean? They won't mess with you. They already know who you are. You can't lie to those who see beyond the perimeters of restriction. We have restriction for obvious reasons, and that's going to be lifted. But they have a higher field of intelligence that supersedes any level of our uncryptic, our capped consciousness. All right, they're able to see. So what they'll do is they'll see you, and you will start to see women of all backgrounds to reestablish. It will be, I think it's supposed to be the Council of 9. I think it's a Council of 9. Narda, is that the Council of 9? I think it's a Council of 9, and it's a lot of the blood lineage. So it will be a quantified amount of blood lineage from each of the different dominated home court advantage families that will start to reestablish the different queendoms. Okay, and you should know that you can only experience that which you vibrate with. And I saw that today, and it was amazing. Big up to someone who showed me the mirror to what their experiences were based on their actions. And I love to see how karma plays out. So if you are healthy and you haven't hurt anyone, and you're loving yourself, and you're living astute, and you're a service to others, and you want the betterment of the planet, you will be dealt with in the same manner. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. You experience things to the level of what you are. So even you can't lie to the divine. Okay, let's say this: you can't lie to the divine. Okay, a lot of us, you know, we may think we're divine. It's like, I'm divine. You know what I'm saying? I'm goddess. Nah, son. Nah. It is literally something that can't be locked, mimicked, bootlegged, cloned. It is something that they can see. So they can also see my lips are so dry. They can also see encasements of people who don't have any souls. So that's why some of those people are just going to implode. You know, the Becky bots and the Karenators, the Smithitarians, a lot of and the empty seaters. These people will be up in dust. Like they'll just implode. They're gonna start to blow up. Like they'll start to implode, and literally they won't be able to be here. When we start permeating, remember we're still undergoing the convergence as well, family. So do know, combust. Thank you, my love. Do know. Thank you, Dylan. So you do know that as we're going through the convergence, you have the multitude of multiverse converging. So all the multitude of timelines that you're coexisting with are also going on top of each other. So everything's folding. So everything you were, am, was, could be is all folding on top of each other. So do know sometimes you get a memory. So all of a sudden, let's say Dylan. I see Dylan in here. So Dylan is, you know, as a guy, maybe he's a techie. He's really good with tech, but he's never been a guy who likes to build, you know, shelves or houses or what have you, Yetis, what, you know. And all of a sudden, Dylan wakes up in the morning and he has this propensity like, oh, snap. I want to go out and build like a pond. Like I want to build a pond and I want to grow herbs around it. And he doesn't know where it's coming from. So like his girlfriend and his wife will be like, yo, where's that coming from? And Dylan is like, I don't know. I just woke up with this inspiration. I have no. So then he does it. So he gets some basic tools or things he learned online, kind of just winging it. And as he's doing it, he's actually remembering doing this before. He's having loads of these forms of like, deja vu, and he's enamored by this. He's saying to himself, he's inside, he's saying, it's like I've done this before. That is Dylan experiencing a merge with the other Dylans that coexist in the other multiverses of him. He doesn't just exist by himself. He is splintered into multitudes of versions of him. As we collapse, you gain the wisdom of those other beings, those other Dylans. So the Dylan that you are, that's a techie. Now the techie guy who was always techie gains the privilege of gaining in this new found wonderful, fixer kind of properties in himself. But the person who was a fixer-upper who didn't know anything about technology, they're experiencing in their timeline this regainment of knowing how to deal with technology properly. Like, oh snap, I didn't know tech. So it's the same Dylan, but the Dylan that's all, you know, he's the burr man. You know what I mean? He's cutting, he's lumber. He's, you know, he's outdoors all the time. He's building, you know, like these cute little lumberjack things. And then all of a sudden, he gains all this. One day he just wants to start a computer program, or he wants to be able to, you know, monitor everything on the tech. He's able to accrue and he's able to access that because the other version of him in the multiverse has that which he is. You can only have what you are. But remember, there's different versions of us. So many different versions of you have many different types of, you know, propensities or gifts or, you know, talents. But it can only be in that spectrum. So it's just what manifestation, you won't be able to ever access parts of manifestation if it isn't something that you already have. But you may have those things in other multi-versions of you. Okay, so that being said, big to Dylan in the house. I hope that was helpful. I'm just saying that's where we're talking about the convergence. You have a multitude of you have the convergence bringing us back to 0 point. And because of that, we have access to versions of ourselves which we were unaware of or aware of. A lot of times you may dream you're somewhere else, and that's another version of you that exists. A lot of times I remember waking up with a husband like, oh snap, like who are you in my bed? I remember that, what was it like, I did this too. I woke up, listen, it was like 2 years ago, and I was sleeping and I woke up in the bed, and then I was like, there was this man in my bed, and I jumped up like, whoa, yo, like I was ready to fight. And it wasn't, listen, because I came from another time where I was with, you know, my other mate. So I'm waking up with a man in my bed. I'm thinking he's trying to rape me. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, listen, if I was irrational, it would have been, you know, I would have been locked up. That's all I'm saying. You know, sometimes we got to make sure it's rational because I'm broke up. I'll fight I don't pretend with y'all. There isn't many things that drive me, but if you try to come for me like that, I'm gonna take you out and I'm gonna have fun doing it because I got that angst in me. I never said I was a light worker. All right, so that's a version of my other version of myself that was with another partner, and that person I was connected to. So you know, that's where that shows up. So do know that that's coming along the lines. Now Nibiru is really close, and the pole shift is closer than we think. So you're going to start to see a lot of people having the Exodus on their mind. Exodus. Isn't this song called Exodus? My teeth are dry. I told you I'm in Africa. My teeth are dry. How do you get dry teeth? I was eating nuts though. You know, I was eating these maple cashews. I don't do cashews that often, but my God, it was so good. Hold on. Woo! It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. I am getting too hot. I can't sing for worth of anything, and my nails are brittle. Okay. Hold on. My neighbor likes to show he's got a sports car, and he likes to do it when I'm outside because he thinks it's impressing me, and it isn't. I'm not impressed by sports cars. I'm impressed by big trucks. You want to impress Fleurbrun? Come in here with a monster truck. I'll be like, yo, I love trucks. I like ATVs. I like quads. I'm that type of person. I don't like these little sports cars. I always feel like your wand is small because you got to look. Let's stop. Let me be appropriate. I always feel like men with little wands always got to get a sports car. Or sometimes a big car. I don't know. Anyway, that was TMI. I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize. Sometimes my mind is just... it is what it is. So anyway, so we have Niburians coming. So the pole shift's coming upon us. It's coming quicker. Remember, we aren't in the year 2020, though it is 2020, mind you. Remember, on the Gregorian calendar. Okay, so let me say this, because I got to keep it real. We are in the year 2020 as far as the Gregorian calendar was created. But the Gregorian calendar was created for a form of manipulation and time assault. Doo-doo-doo. The real year I always attribute to the Hebrew year, which many of you Zionists follow, which is year 2012 that goes according to the Hebrew calendar. The Ethiopian calendar says we're in 2012. Now you already know, another homework assignment, I already told you to watch Star Wars. Star Wars will take you all over the place. But do know we're actually in 2012. And what did they say about December 2012? What did they say in that movie? I'm not saying that'll happen, but I'm just saying you shouldn't be surprised if it does. Okay, you got earthquakes going all over the place. And if you look at what's happened so far in 2020 and you compare it to the movie 2012, you would say to yourself, oh, snap. Remember they were in India and it was hot? Remember he went down in the middle of the earth? He was like, it's hot. Remember the movie 2020? They were in India and they found out that the core was melting and it becomes more solidified. It becomes liquid as the magma gets hotter. You know, it gets hot, the core melts and then it starts to become unstable. Remember they were in, and then India was like mad hot there. They were like, it's getting hot because of that. Okay. So if you watch that movie and you look at, if you take some of the events that have already happened thus far in 2020 and the end of 2019, you can almost put it to a match, to a mirror, and you'd be like, oh, snap. If I didn't know any better, this feels like this is the same movie, 2020. And remember the guy was in the mountain? Y'all, they used to call me, listen, you know the crazy guy in the movie? They used to say I was that guy. It's a compliment. Remember he was in the middle of... If I didn't have children, family, I might be doing that, though. I'm serious. Remember they called him crazy? It was like, he's crazy. He believes that it's the end of the world. He had a radio station. That's Fleurbrun. They used to say I was him. And I don't really take that as an insult anymore because I feel like I am the blowhorn to a certain degree. I am. So, you know, I feel like I'm okay with them comparing me to the guy in the mountain. He was wild, though. He went out balls blazing with the fire. Remember? It was like... Whew. He was like, it's beautiful. And they just, So you should check out that movie if you have not seen that movie yet. Like I say, you can never think I'm telling the truth until you have a view of 2012. So we're in 2012, family, and you're already starting to see that. Now, mind you, they've mailed in ballots. Okay, so let's talk about the insipidus Willy Wonka system that is sending ballots. They already catching wind. Now, big up to our family. I haven't spoke. Where's Yafi? I think I text Yafi. Hold on. I text her. I don't remember getting. Hold on. Let me just make sure. I didn't get a response from Yafi. I gotta call Yafi. Israel is at war now with Iran. Listen, family, they are throwing every sort of distraction. Listen to me, family. Don't fall for the okie doke. They want to distract you from you being smart enough and clever enough and aware enough and intuitive. Listen what I said. Intuitive enough. Many people are doing their exodus. Many people are doing it. They're drawn to do it. There's a reason for that. So if you're drawn to stay, that means you bunker down. If you are drawn to leave, if you feel and you're seeing and you're hearing and you're getting all this solidification, all these synchronistic things for you to leave, then you leave. Okay? I'm sorry. My lips are so dry. Pay attention to that. All right? So either you bugging in or you bugging out. And you should already be prepared. I prepared my people on Patreon y'all were prepared. Patreon was prepared years ago because I was a prepper. So just by the nature of who I am, I prepared you. Oh, thank you, Fumes. Thank you, my love, for the donation. 777. Woo woo. Thank you, my love. So wherever you draw on, you need to do it because everybody's getting that push and pull feeling right now. If you're not getting it, it means for you to bunker down. So if you're not getting that feeling, then you bunker down. If you get the feeling to bug out, you need to bug out. If you get the feeling that you need to bug in. But you must know. What's that? Oh, party over here. You must know that we are in that time frame. And if you ignore your intuition at this point, it could mean your end of your avatar. Okay? Just you should be aware. And you should, I'm not going to even have discussions because if you're with a monster or a narcissist or a vicious being in your household, it means that you are in alignment and karma with that type of person. Because there isn't anybody that I know, gratefully, who's attached to a monster. Anybody in my circle is clean and clear. Everybody's been sterilized. Not sterilized. Everybody's been, cleared. Everybody in my circle's been cleared. So even, some of the dudes who I didn't like, you know what I'm saying? When you have a girlfriend, you don't like her man. I was like, I don't like him. And it's your girlfriend too. You don't want to say anything like I don't like. I'd have men who I don't like their girlfriend. And I already know, like, those are people I wouldn't even let come anywhere near my sanctuary. It's sad, but if I'm not feeling who you're with and I trust you, I can't really trust you fully if you're with somebody who's so imbalanced. Okay? A lot of people are imbalanced, and if you're choosing a mate, if you're with a mate that's imbalanced, you're compromisable. I take that very seriously. So even in discussions on doing the sanctuary, literally, I wouldn't let anyone around my children who I can't throw at least 2 feet, and they right. Okay, so you don't have to bunker down with anybody else but yourself, but know yourself and know your shadows. And if you got devils in your house, you're going to rock it out with the devil. That's all I say. You got to make sure you are with yourself with sanity. And we've talked about this. What is it? 6 months ago, I told you, you got people with addictions around you, you're going to have a problem. I've seen people who can't get a cigarette and they lose their mind. That's somebody who's compromisable. If someone has an addiction to cigarettes, they're going to compromise your safety and your peace of mind. And that's cigarettes. Anything higher than that, we're not talking about coffee. People can get off coffee. They have a headache. That's fine. But people who have real addictions to drugs or alcohol, and these are people, thank you. Oh, thank you, Fumes. Thank you, my love. Thank you, 777. Thank you, my love. You gotta be careful. So, it's not to judge anyone. I'm saying maybe that's your karma and maybe you have that contract, that soul contract, to have to engage with someone and see from that perspective. So I don't want to judge you based on that, but I'm just saying whoever you're with right now, that's who you're rocking it out with to the end. To the end, literally. I'm telling you. So if you haven't, because there isn't anybody I know, like I said, there isn't anybody I know who hasn't dissolved those unhealthy relationships, including myself. So if you still down with the dirt, like you with the Smithitarian, you with an empty cedar, you with a thoughterism, a mass destruction, you know what I'm saying? You down with, you know, Karen and our League of Doom, then you're just down with whatever that series of 2012 for them. And just know if you got people like that around you, the kind of cataclysm that comes with that low field vibration and frequency and lack of awareness, that comes with something. Okay? It just does. We're in that time. And before I would say it and it wouldn't show up. Now you can actually, it's concrete. Now when I say we're in those times, you can say, oh, well, snap. Yeah, she's right. Because we see it. We could taste it. We feel it. We know it's here. Okay, so we got the planetoid on deck. Nibiru's coming close. As soon as it gets closer, mind you, family, we got asteroids coming in left and right. We haven't even seen wormwood yet. It's coming in. It's going to bitter everything up. That's what I'm saying. Become self-efficient and be with the people you want. It's coming. Yeah, I'm like the crazy guy in the mountains, but I'm about to be the crazy person you don't hear from anymore. Because when I'm done and when I'm about my family, I'm gonna just go quiet and just chill out and stake it out with my family. I give to you because I love you and I wish you well. But there's going to be a point where there's going to be a what we consider to be a dead zone, where that's it. It's a wrap. Our telecommunication in this facet, in this way, will be done for everyone. And you're going to have to take whatever information you've gotten from everything, everyone, yourself, and make sure you have books. Don't rely on downloads, uploads, all that craziness. You better have some books, some self-help books in the house, because you're going to read a lot and you're going to be reading a lot of books over and over again, because you won't have that level of, you know, access right away to technology until post pole shift. We won't be right until about 2026 after pole shift as far as technology is concerned. The amount of EMPs and crazy things that are going to happen, the shift in itself, water going and, you know, inundating places that used to be dry desert, our whole terrain won't be recognizable. If you're living somewhere where it's cold and dry, it's going to be wet and hot. If you're living somewhere where it's wet and hot, it's going to be cold and dry. Okay? So set up shop, do your due diligence. I'm not going to, please don't send me emails saying, oh, Fleurbrun, listen, you got to do your due diligence at this point. Oh, thank you, my love. Thank you, Moroccan Steel. I appreciate it, my love. Yeah. I've given a lot of stuff on Patreon. I've done as much as I can. You know me at this point, and it's not really my responsibility for you to do things that intuitively you should have an awareness to do. You should not have to get a step-by-step process. If I share something with you, you should be able to take that information, vet it out, and then if it's something that's applicable to your scenario, then you do the research on your own. You know what I mean? So, take the bits that I share with you. If it doesn't resonate, kick it out the door. If it does, then do your due diligence. Because remember, family, I have my own family. And remember, I love my own family more than I love anybody. My life is dedicated to my family. I can extend myself because I love you now. I have enough in my cup. My cup is overfilled, so I can give to you. But at the end of the day, I'm going to make sure I'm good with my people. And also with those who are part of the sanctuary. Who's with the sanctuary, those are going to be my family. And that's why I was setting up the sanctuary. But the sanctuary would be set up in a way where it allots for same like people to start over that tribal base. So I'm already in that zone. And for anyone who's donating, now that's the one time, because someone said if anyone's donating to the sanctuary, you may do so. That's fine. It's the only time I say I'll accept donations for the sanctuary, because that will be for the sanctuary only. Okay? Brazil is not, I had to go with plan B. Brazil is out of control. I will not be in Brazil right now. It's out of control. I have a beautiful property in Brazil. It's great. When it's closed down, you can't. One thing I've learned is if something is closed to me, it means it isn't for me at that moment. And I'm always quick to make sure I can go to a plan B. I won't ever sit idly on a position just waiting archaically while I need a plan B. I have a plan B. Okay? They closed all the who said this? I'm a Fed. She's a Fed. You disrespectful, and no, I'm not a Fed. Stop it already. Don't come in here saying wildness like that. Hold on. Poof, you're out. Don't come in here saying things like that. See, when agents come in and call you an agent, they're an agent. Don't come in here being disrespectful. So you hear some, see, this is what happens. They hear some intel and they don't want you to even know. And this has been the number of attacks that we get. A lot of the attacks I get is as soon as when you're about to get some information that is not going, so that what they'll do is they'll send a bot in or an agent and they'll say, oh, put something in, put it in the chat or do something like, you know, do something. Like I said, if you're not about that ET extraterrestrial life, you should not be on this platform. Not for this intel. This will make you unnerved. If you're not about extraterrestrials, interterrestrials, or interdimensionals, you don't know that exists, then I'm not your cup of tea, because I will talk about beings that are supersede your level of intellect or even awareness. And these beings live here, they coexist with us, and a lot of them are in rulership. Many of your Willy Wonka people aren't even people. They are shape-shifting reptilians, and they've been living here, and insectilians, and living here and ruling over so-called humanoids that they co-create. A lot of people were geo-engineered for enslavement. And the first people that were enslaved were the people they created to be in caves to mine gold. Okay? So the first people, you know, that's what I'm saying. When we talk about the Niburians and Anunnaki, I'm not saying that they're perfect, because they created beings that could sit there and mine. These were very fair-skinned, very light-eyed beings that could live in caves and mine gold. Those were the original beings that they co-created, not the natural beings that were here or in the terrestrials. They created very lunar-looking beings that would be inside caves to mine gold. They did. And a lot of those beings rebelled and left those mountains. They left inside those mountains. They were being abused, and a lot of what you're seeing is a residual of them being misused. It's a karmic debt. So, you know what I'm saying? That's why you got to be careful when you look at people's complexions, because a lot of the lunars now that are in rulership, that's karma to the brown people who mistreated them when they were up in the mines as slaves. Remember, touche, mon frere. Whenever you enslave a people, if it comes around karmically, you will be enslaved as well. Jesse, thank you, my love. Okay, see, I can be balanced enough where I could be a brown person to tell you that the reason why we got a lot of that, it's done. We've already paid our debt. Karma's already paid and done. It's already been paid. So people of color already, the 400 years of retribution that was to be paid for treating people unwell and non-harmonious. We experienced that in cycles as brown and light people, and now that came around and it's done. So now you're starting to see brown people raise up because they paid their karmic debt. Okay? And that's why lunars came over and ruled over the planet, because they were mistreated in the caves when they were created. Okay? They were largely mistreated. Okay? That's my understanding. Okay? So now we're at a new cycle where that is an issue. Everybody's debt has been paid. So complexion isn't going to be a new issue. It's going to be species. Okay? So lunar, brown, green, yellow, that complexionism is going to be, people are going to be more unity consciousness as earthlings. We will be one earthling on one planet. It isn't going into complexions. That was a series. You know, like a series on a movie. That was the complexionism series. You know what I'm saying? Brown versus lunars. You know what I mean? Or Asians versus, you know, others. So it was a series. It's done. That's that cycle. Everybody knows about it. You can feel when it's done, because that's why all the statues are falling. All the archaic statues of those who were heinous beings, they're all falling, because it's a new establishment. It's all good in the hood, because what you do is your karma. Okay, now we're at a different cycle, and now we have to rebalance ourselves with earthlings and reestablish a kinship amongst each other. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Elijah. I appreciate it. And little Enki representing. Whoop, whoop. Thank you, my love. All right. So, you know, and also I know your frequency. If you still hell-bent on color, if you still talking about the whitey's taking over and he's the devil, I already know your imprint and your karma. You're most likely a brown white supremacist that is in that complexion to experience that. If you are a lunar saying brown people haven't been heard in a sense of denial of brown issues and talking about, you know, brown people this, that, you already know you're most likely a brown person who wants to reestablish harm to the previous lunars in brown skin. You know what I mean? It's all skin. So I already know I ain't messing with you. I'll let you be. I ain't messing with your complexionism issues. Listen, we passed that. I rock with beings that are blue, green, that have noses that look like tusks, you know, have weird looking teeth, got gills in their neck, you know, have white hair, have, you know, spotches on their face, look like cats. Those are the beings. if you still in complexionism, you gonna have a hell of an issue when we go into like celestial interconnection. You can't handle the truth. You remember he said to Rock, he was like, you can't handle the truth, Rock. Listen, if you have a problem with Becky for being light or Tyrone for being dark, you about to experience some real deal Holyfield extraterrestrial fear. Because if you can't handle complexion, oh, dandy, you gonna see beings come out looking like felines. What you gonna do when you see the lion beings? What you gonna do then? You'll lose your mind. Y'all lose your mind. You see lion cat beings coming down here. Bipedal cat beings with consciousness and halos, energetic halos over their heads. What you gonna do then? You gonna lose your mind. Come on now. Y'all just don't know. It's coming. It's here. And some of you, listen, the reptilians don't even cloak themselves anymore. Yo, I got reptilian homies. Their eyes stay slit. Listen, I got reptilian homies right now. Their eyes stay slit and they acknowledge it. Yeah, I know I can't, the slit won't go away anymore. This is the conversations I have. You got beings who have slit eyes. What you gonna do then? What's gonna happen when the skin starts moving? The patches start moving, because some of the reptilians it can be a little bugged out. Their skin moves because it's sentient. So it actually, the scales, the separation of scales actually move. What are you gonna do when you see something like that? And it doesn't mean they're mean. It doesn't mean they're horrible. It's just gonna mess with your peace of mind. That's what I'm saying. Those beings who have an issue with complexion, they're stoic and they're capped consciously. They ain't here for the ascension process. They're here to elevate themselves spiritually, and then they'll come back and do another reincarnation of 3,600 years, whatever cycle they do on another prison planet. Okay? Coming back as the other person that they judged. All right? So we got to keep it real. We go in supernova in about 2.5 seconds. And things are happening faster than listen, I gave you time frames that aren't even on deck anymore. The ETA has changed at least 10 times already. I had an ETA to go to Brazil. I'm done. Like, the ETA is done. Okay? We in pole shift mode. It's quickening, it's happening. You need to follow your first mind, and do know that the extraterrestrials and interterrestrials aren't hiding anymore. That cloaking is done. All that days of cloaking and unrevealed, nah, son, nah, they here. Okay? And when you see those rainbow ships come down, do know that you're going to, and also the serpent beings. I know the serpent beings bother some people, not really all of you, but those who demonize the serpent, a lot of Christians be demonize. Yo, Christians, why do you demonize everything? Everything that's good and wholesome, you demonize. How do you Christians demonize serpents? Those are the ones who bring wisdom. Okay, Garden of Eden, it was Adam. The Adam was taken from Eve, the original Eve. It was Adam was taken from. They say the rib was taken out of the man. What kind of backwards? Why do you think they want eggs in the womb? They're not taking a rib out of a man. It's the woman who has the mitochondria to be able to clone. Adam was an Adam taken out of Eve. The snake represented, the serpent represented the wisdom. Under the tree was a tree of life. It was the Akashic records. Come on now. Come on. Wake up, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So, everybody's afraid of the snake, but really the snake is information, is knowledge. It's the original beings that coexisted here. It's the serpent beings. And with that serpentine energy, that's why it's amazing that they demonize the serpent, but they use it for everything. Your serpent is used on the staff in the medical field. You see the serpent there. You see the serpent on all these different companies. Why, if it's demonized, do they use it? If the serpent is so bad, why do they use it in everything, symbolic wise? Why do they talk about your serpent energy up your spine? Why are they trying to work with the kundalini if the snake is so bad? Okay, it's the same thing with the 13th and the black cat. They demonize anything that they utilize for occult rituals and whatever they want. They demonize it to you, but they utilize it. All right. Tennessee said, wait, Terminex, wait, Termite said the serpent didn't represent wisdom. So let me hear your opinion. What's your name? Wait, hold on. What's your name? Tammy, what did it represent to you? Let's hear it. I'm always okay with you. I want to hear your opinion. What did it represent to you? Number one, what it represents to me is going to be different than you. Okay, so what did it represent to you? Oh, in Japan, the white serpent is sacred. Wait, I didn't see. She's not. You know what? She can't get in here, or maybe she's right now. Okay, I don't see that she's responded. Okay. You don't have to respond. I just wanted to know what your opinion was. I always want to know your opinion. Okay. It could be somebody who's really Christian and got offended. You know, usually if you say something's a serpent, they get mad and they get real pissed off and they storm off because they think I'm a devil. You know, and I used to tell people all the time, they'd be like, she's a demon. You know, people make channels saying, oh, she's a demon. I was like, a demon that loves her children is protective of her own children. A demon that gardens and makes sure she protects all animals and insects to the point where it's even obsession. A demon that likes to recycle to the point where her neighbors think she's out of control. A demon that respects people and treats people like she likes to be treated herself. It's amazing. If they see me as a demon, what does that say to you, family? They're most likely connected to a demonic themselves, because you can only see what you are. And if you see someone that has any demonic possession on her, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but to call me a demon, saying I got demons coming out of my mouth when I'm in love with my children, that lets you know the consciousness of the beings. Okay? Be mindful of that. I don't care that you listen to them. You can listen to them, but I'm just saying that lets you know, because I know me and people know me. So when you have people calling someone a demon who has a totally different you know, has lack of demonic connection to them, then you got to realize what it is. Okay, so the nega is not the devil. Okay, anything related to the nega has to do with wisdom. Serpentine energy is required on this planet in order to be able to gain wisdom. Okay, that's why when you do your kundalini, you know, you're doing like this, a lot of the snake movement to move that serpentine energy up that spine. And when it spikes up that spine, that's when you get a revelation. That's when it hits that crown and you get revelations. You get your crown chakra shoots open and allows that intel to transport in. Okay, and really, we're not supposed to go from bottom up. We're supposed to go from top down. And it's interesting that in a lot of Kundalini classes, they tend to do a lot of Kundalini things, bringing it from the ground up. You're supposed to field in the energy from the celestial realm, take it through the crown, and then bring it down the serpentine. They've inverted even the process of accessing your Kundalini. They've inverted it. So you got people working. I've done it. I'm not upset about that. I've done it. I've done the energy, working that energy from the ground up. You're supposed to bring it from top down. Okay, that's when you actually get divine energy. What are you going to bring from your crown? So you're going to bring it from your crown, from your fufun, from your bottom, from your rectum, up? That doesn't make sense. Once you take it up, take it here and let that beautiful higher energy feel through the entirety of down your body. Come on now. So anyway, so you have that energy. Oh, for someone who said in Arizona, I will not. Oh, for anyone who's going to be, I know a lot of people want me to do a meet and greet. I won't be doing a meet and greet in Arizona this time. I'm there for business. I have to dive in and do out. I'm doing some business there. I want to see, I have to see some people when I'm there. So I won't be able to, because I have little ones I have to, attend to. So I will only be there for a short period of time. When I do a meet and greet, I'll be there longer. But for this time, I won't be able to meet up with you guys. Okay. So I'm sorry. Next time I'm going to be there again, but I'm going for business. Okay. Oh, wait, you sent that request? You, okay. Okay, family. So the serpent isn't the devil. You got cat beings here as well. Okay. You've got this new, the inner earth. Now the Agarthians. Let's talk about the guardians of the inner earth. Okay, the Agarthians. The Agarthians are like wisdom bearers. They're like these energetic beings. Those are the ones who built, from my knowledge, they're the ones who gave the blueprint, or the blueprint. They're the ones who had the archetype for the crystal cities. Now, am I correct? Yeah, it was Was it Argarthans? Argarthans may have been the ones who created the blueprint, and the Shangri-Larians, which look, some of them look like redheads. You know, when you hear about the redhead giants, that's also in those inner earths as well. Some of you in Iraq, who lives in the Middle East, who's from Iraq, the Middle East? Some of you in the Middle East talk about the red-headed giants. They live there, okay? So there's these huge red-headed giants. They're not gone. They live in the inner earth, okay? They can seem a little tyrannical, but they're higher fielded beings. They're not as archaic as they're perceived, you know, as people perceive them to be. They're inner earth beings, and they have a lot to do with the constructing of things. Almost like they're like the burly ones who do a lot of the construction, as far as like energetic constructions with crystals and things in the inner earth. From what I know, and anybody else can verify, because this is only the intel I know. It's hard to know about the different cities and inner earth beings, because it's a multitude. Just as many as we have different facets of beings on the surface of the planet, you have a multitude on the inner. I can't possibly break down each one. I just know the red-headed giants have a lot to do with the construction of the crystal cities. I know the blueprints come, to my knowledge, from the Argarthians. And oh, thank you, Tyrone, I appreciate it. Fleur, I wonder if you're going to do it. You guys are really trying to get me to do the meet and greet. I'm coming to Arizona, y'all. I can't, if I have time, listen, y'all, if I'm down there and I have time, I always want to do the meet and greet. If I have time, I'll set it up. It's gonna be tight though, because I get in and get out. I gotta do it quick. But if I have time, what I'll do is I'll notify you guys, and we'll do a meetup somewhere. It's gonna be hard though, because remember, we got the cucarachi season, so I don't know how they are down there. But what, you're moving there on Friday? Oh snap, you going already, Saki? Oh snap. Well, I'll see. We got a lot of Arizonians in the house. That's that frequency, y'all. Y'all bring it in. Y'all bring it in the frequency in Arizona. Okay. So the Agarthians and the Shangri-Larians are I think are in charge of the crystal cities on the inner earth. Now, many of you who will be going through that process are already going through clearing. I personally think a lot of the people who are more fasting and having a problem eating food, I think those more starting to get into breatharianism or forced to fast, I think that's a process that allows you to vibrate into that city, because the crystal cities aren't allowed to have, you know, really dark. Your frequency has to match to be able to be in that kind of city. Everything's energetic and everything's energy in there. So I think for those who are having this transition of your body starting to change the way that it feels in energy, I think you're naturally shifting. Or this is my opinion, I don't know this for a fact, I'm just thinking because I know how pristine those cities are, and I know that there isn't anyone who can go in there who isn't, and I know they built the cities for people who are in the frequency to go. So obviously there has to be enough people who have that frequency, and I know there has to be a process of kind of like clearing them off naturally, almost like an innovation for them to do it, like an inner knowing to clear themselves. So I have a feeling for those who are having this feeling of like permeating out of food, starting to get out of even veganism, almost like they just want to do liquids, like liquiditarians. I have a feeling that it's y'all who are doing that inner trek to the inner world. That crystal city set up, it's been set up for a while, but from what I know, the engineering of those cities is almost complete. They have several, it's not just one, several. A lot of the beings on the surface, y'all will be going into the crystal cities. Now, the crystal cities have a lot of the same, what we consider to be like social constructs as us. A little different, but social constructs. So you'll have places where the children go and learn, but it won't be learning like false history and lies and mass destruction. They'll be learning how to utilize their mind to manifest. They'll also be learning how to field in sound frequency, to change things with sound and with light frequency. They'll be doing a lot of those types of educational programs in the inner earth. I know that because I know there's teachers there. So because of that, I know they work with energy. So I know the little children that are going there, they're going to be taught and the old ancient ways of being able to manifest and also move energy with thoughts and frequency. Okay, so it's really exciting. I think the inner earth beings, I'm more excited to hear about the transition of people from surface to there than anywhere. anywhere. It's amazing. And if you want to look at many movies that reference it, The Journey to the Center of the Earth, there's actually dinosaurs and mammoths still there. So when you get to the earth, the inner earth, there are still Paleolithic species that are actually living there. We hear about the Nazis and the North Pole talking about they were seeing, like mammoth show up, and like, what? Dragons are coexist because dragons are higher in dimensions. You have cities inside, okay? You have little pygmy cities, little cities where it looks like little bug people. They got big eyes, little bug people, and they do things like in colonies. Like they're the ones they send in to do like draining and things like that. I know I've seen them in another group. 2 rainbows just appeared. Big up to you, mama. 2 rainbows right in the sky. So that's a solidification. Those little bug beings, they're cute though. They do like, it's weird. It's like they work like little ants. They're not ants though. They're not cold. They're friendly. And I think that's where they got the Hobbit series from, because they're small, like what I consider to be hobbits, but they're very happy beings, like the Munchkins. Remember the Munchkin land? So I almost think that why we get these stories is they're kind of taking them from beings that actually coexist and live that way. But I know these beings are happy. They're not mad. They're like, they build things like colonies, like little things, but they're small and their eyes are really, really big and dark, but a dark blue. When I say blue, it's like, even if it's dark, it's like a blue over it because of the inner earth. Okay. So, it'll be amazing to see how those inner cities show up. Also, for those who are coming from the Nega, we already talked about the Nega. Many people who are mad, let me say this, for those who get some sort of residual from people who are mad at the Nega, if they are angry at that energy, it's because they aren't part of that sect, and they have a right to be, because where they lie in the hierarchy is probably very low. So the more angst that someone has towards certain species right now that holds home court advantage details their ranking in the next layering and the next cycle. So a lot of beings that held home court advantage in this cycle are at the bottom. Remember, as above, so below. So the one who held highest esteem and the last cycle is at the bottom. The one who held lowest esteem at the last cycle, she has top. Okay? So she has more reprieve. You're going to see women have more availability of things to her. It's because the home court advantage is going to heal her. Women can't just go into the position of having, balance again. They have to be cleaned and cleansed. They have to be healed. There has to be a certain layering effect that allows for them to go through a process of, healing those wounds. Okay. So the inner earth beings, good luck to y'all. Go into the crystal cities. Quite a few of you. A lot of the lunars that are more so, I will say this, a lot of the lunars that I know that are more enlightened, because you're very fair skin, you most likely will be going into terrestrial crystal cities, because the biosphere doesn't allow the way that we'll be living with those triple suns. I don't even know, to a certain degree, I'm going to be in a more tropical area. I saw where I live, but for anyone living on the surface, you're going to have a lot of carbon to live on the surface. The only beings that lived on it, look at the aboriginals. See, when people think I'm lying, go look at the aboriginals, the closest to the equator beings. Look at how they look. Look at the Indians way in the south. Okay, carbon. They got a lot of carbon in their skin. That protects them from the radiation. That's actually what you require to have that bombardment of all that galactic radiation. It's what's needed. So I think a lot of lunars who are very fair skinned, a lot of them are going to be going into the inner earth crystal cities that are enlightened. So I think that's the ones. I think because it protects them endocrine wise. I think because they match the frequency. I think that's where a lot of the cities will take in very people who have more so the genetics that won't be qualified to be on the surface. Anyone rocking on the surface, if you want to take a look at this, look at the time machine. You'll see the future. Okay. Take a look at a movie called Time Machine. The newer version of Time Machine, and you'll see in the future they go and there's like these weird beings living under the earth, like right in the thing, but you saw all the people on the earth were like brown and tan. You look at any movie in the future, is what it is. They're going to require that. You need a lot of that, because that triple sun family, you think it's a joke. I sat in the sun and I was like, woo, woo, and I got some melanin, but I was like, woo, I felt my body transition, like trying to convert the energy inside. It was, and I've got copper skin. You know, I'm not the darkest copper, but I got copper skin, so I can feel my, remember, copper is a conduit. That's what you don't realize. Most of the indigenous had copper skin. Copper skin is a conduit, a conduit. It's kinetic. Okay, so copper, just like copper penny, just like copper wires. That's why when I can't wear copper, because I get sick from copper. I have too much. I remember I told you to be careful with copper. I'm an O positive, and O's have a sensitivity to having too much copper in our blood. But when I went to the doctor, I was wearing copper stuff. He was like, why are you doing copper? They did a blood test. I had so much copper. He's like, you have natural copper. You have a lot of copper, more so than other people. So I found out that people who are especially O positives have a lot of copper already. That's a conduit. That's a conductor. So that's why when I share things, it does pilot out into the atmosphere a little different, because energetically my skin, because of the copper color, does have the same kinetic energy. So copper is that. So, you know, I'm saying when it comes to where we're going to go, a lot of times whatever physically we are is where most likely we'll be set in the next shift. So, you know, if you have a lot of carbon in your skin and you're enlightened, most likely you'll be surface bound or galactic bound. Okay? You may even be in the galactic. Those who have a lot of coily skin, because that coily hair comes from being exposed to the Van Allen belt. Nobody talks about that. The more coily the hair, that's what lets you know where they come from. When they have that coily tight hair, it means they don't necessarily they come from a place where there was high amount of radiation. So that what it does is it draws the hair in to protect the skull and the brain. That's a pilot, like that's a cosmic pilot disposition. All right. So anyone with really, really dark fielded skin most likely has the endocrine system and the protection, the radiation protection, to be able to travel intergalactically on ships. And also they don't need ships. Those are sometimes the light beings. Because remember, black absorbs all spectrums of light. So what light beings are all carbon beings. So when they say carbon beings, remember, carbon absorbs all spectrums of light. Those are beings that could travel and blink out. Remember they talked about the Zulu and these beings, I think Mutwa talked about the beings and said the Niburian, the Draconians and everybody, they were fearful of the Zulus because they could just blink in and out. That's because they had a lot of carbon. They could use the carbon would allow teleportation easier. So that's a quality that's been demonized because it has such special qualities. That's a beautiful quality. So the more carbon you have, if it's healthy, if it's you melanin, you can actually use forms of teleportation if you come from that lineage. So remember I told you about the blinkers? I see people who are blinkers. That's an ability that comes with certain people from certain tribes. They can blink in and out. Okay? It's like carbon. They blink in and out. The Draconians don't mess with them because they would just leave. As soon as the Draconians are, but they be out. Okay? There's stories about this. You can verify this. There's nothing I'm sharing with you that you can't verify online or otherwise. There's books detailing this. There are beings that are blinkers, and they are carbon beings that live, mostly you hear them. I've only heard most of the stories associated with the Zulu who did that. Okay? They bleeped in, and that's why it was hard to defeat them. Because some of those who had the quality, more of that extraterrestrial quality, were blinkers. Okay, and the aquatic beings. Let's get into the mer family. We get to my mer family. I know y'all getting there. Listen, mer family, a lot of you returning to your waterways. It makes me want to cry. A lot of you are going to return to the waterways. What does this mean? Many of you will be drawn to ships and boats, and you will end up, your towns will be taken over by water, but actually it's not a negative thing. If you are of the Mer family, you will be basically taken back to the waterways and coexist in water worlds, okay? Where there are beings that actually coexist here that live in the water. The babies will be jumping in the water, swimming with the dolphins. You will be taken into that enclave. So there are literally beings here, you guys, and you will know, because if you start touching your fish tanks and stores, they will gravitate towards you. You will start to go places and you hear tones and frequencies close to water. You are now start to become part of the water world, surface water world, and you will slowly be acclimated back into your state into your aquatic state. Now, the process, what they tell you about mermaids, they don't tell you that they used to say that mermaids would come and walk on the earth only for a moment. What if I told you that when you actually are a mermaid, there's a cycle you go through with legs, and then that cycle ends and you return to the waterways. You go back to your mermaid status. Okay, so they made it seem like it was only a week or until the full moon. No, family, it was a cycle. You were supposed to experience what it was like on the surface, on the land, and experience things and learn and what have you. And then during the next cycle, because remember, we need a certain kinetic energy, you metamorphosize. Watch The Shape of Water. Please watch here's another homework assignment. Watch The Shape of Water. What happened when she went in the water with her lover? He was acclimating to her, but she was already like that. Hold on. She was already like that. So for those of you who feel, and a lot of the mer people are getting sick because you're required to be closer to the sea. So, and many of you will start to feel feelings here. I know some of the people were getting here. They were getting like waking up with little bits of like either swollen lymph nodes around here. That's also a sign that your body's turning to try to remember who it really was. So if you have like around here, also the dreams of being in the waterway, okay? The hands, the tingling in the hands. You may start to see skin. You hear the crows? You may start to see skin, you know, growing in between, like extra skin coming on the hands. Yeah, goiters, yes. What's another quality? Your eyes start to get that field on them, because they, remember, all fish have the protection on their eyes. So many of you are going to start to have that. You're going to crave like sand. You may even crave to have it in your mouth. If you're getting forms of pica, which require you to have sand, that's also a quality that I personally have linked to mermaidism. So you might start to have that craving, like a crunchy sand. Like you ever want to chew, it's like pica. When we're pregnant, we get the pica, you know, you get pica. Like I used to like to smell certain things or taste, but pica, when you want to chew sand or chalk a little bit, the sand is an indication that you have that propensity. I know people say you're low in iron, you're low in magnesium. No, it's deeper. You're low in the actual pH of the waterways that you used to coexist in, and your body's metamorphosizing. So you're going to require some of these new chemicals or new elements to allow the shift or the metamorphosis to who you are. Okay, so I know for a fact that mermaids will go through, that's the one group I know that they're going to go through a biological transition, and they're going to be inundated with water. They won't fear it though. They won't fear it. Anybody who's a mer won't fear the water. And if they do, it's been implemented by an agent or a parent that has imposed that fear on them, so they wouldn't be allowed to express their mermaidship when it comes online. Okay, because you have people who have handlers, children assigned to handlers that come into these families where they're purposely meant to take away your connection to water. So you'll have parents like demonize water or traumatically throw you in water. They do that purposefully to try to break that bond that you have with your water world. Okay, so know that if you're feeling a certain way, yeah, like you may be craving a lot of fish, a lot of iodine. Personally, I think a lot of the issues with the thyroid has to do, the thyroid is women trying to go back to their mermaidship. I personally think that those who are mermaids have the thyroid issue. It's almost like your body's trying to remember and trying to metamorphosize or change you back. And that's why, if you notice, the thing that fixes thyroidism, especially for hypo, tends to be seaweed. And what does that tell you, family? It tends to be seaweed, plankton, kelp, iodine. Okay, that tells you something. The fact that your body's craving it. Why is it craving if you're a land being? If you're really a land being, why are you craving so many sea things? It means you have more sea in you than you know. Okay, so just take a look at that. Have a chance to kind of let that feeling come in. And for all my mer family that are mermaids, start writing in your journals your memories of your sea life. Okay, and if you're going to a church where they're demonizing the marine life, get out of the church. They're doing that purposefully. So you aren't connecting with and your mer family will come to help you. Okay. They will actually come to help you during the post shift. All our lineage that we have genetically will come to assist. So if you are able to survive post shift and you're living in a water world, I promise you, my loves, you are going to have your mer family, because there won't be any hiding after the pole shift. There won't be any hiding. There will literally be, everything is what it is. Okay. 5D is basically, if it says it is, it looks like it is, it is. Okay, so that'll be the case. So big up to all my mermaids in the house, mermen in the house. Y'all look about to go back to the Neptunes. Woo! Y'all about to take it back to the Neptune days. And then you get to see the multitude of cities that already coexist. They have dome cities in the waterways. So for you mer family, there's some that are going in the inner earth to the crystal cities. But some of you mer family, you're going to actually be taken to the domes beneath the oceans. A lot of times when we see the ships go into the water because they're going to go deplane themselves, or going to the water worlds underneath. So, it's going to be interesting to see how many of you beautiful mer family are going to return to your sea life, and let the process happen. Make sure you're taking away the fear. Allow your body. The metamorphosis is very natural. And like I said, I just found this out, that the cycle of a mermaid isn't just weeks or to a full moon. It is a cycle. So they make the contract to come on land for the cycle, and then they return after the cycle back to the waterways. They got to go the same process that they had to take to gain their legs and to gain that acclimation to the surface is the same acclimation backwards that they have to gain to get back to the sea. Okay, so that's why I'm saying be patient with yourselves. If you're having the dreams, always document. Allow the process to happen. I'm not crazy. I'm sane. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do drugs. I am a sane mother. I love my babies, and I'm giving you a rational conversation. This I know to be. Okay, so enjoy your amazing connection to your aquatic family. And if you're having dreams with them, just allow that connection to happen. Allow it to happen. But again, that Sandy, that pica, I notice all the people I know are connected to mermaids that have starting to have that. Like that gritty taste. They like to chew like it's a gritty, like a sand. Because remember how they clean they have different ways that their teeth show up in the waterways, like the way that their teeth are a little more inched up, and they clean their teeth with like sand. It's a little way that they coexist. So there's a memory in your DNA and a requirement for you genetically. So it's gonna be interesting. So big up to all those going into the water walls, big up to all those going to the crystal domes. Now those going on the mothership, some of you are going home and some of you are staying here. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're gonna do. Niburians, big up to the Niburians in the house. Woo woo. Big up to the Niburians in the house. Woo woo. Nega and otherwise. Remember, there's many different Niburians in the house, Hi, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good. There's many different types of Niburians in the house. Okay, so you could be Lyrian. The Lyrians, remember, there's a lot of beings on that mothership. Okay, Planet X, Nibiru, what do you call it? The brown dwarf. Okay, there's many different beings. I don't know if you've chosen to stay, and I don't know if you've chosen to leave. That's really a personal decision and a contract that you've made previous to this incarnation. So the ones who are staying, they will start to cultivate the new tribal based. Like I said, it's a matriarchal system. So the sisters, I think it's a tribe of 9. They will start to reestablish a sisterhood on this planetoid, and you'll start to see igloos, like weird kind of, like I said, Star Wars will give you an idea of how some of the homes will look post pole shift. Okay, it's aerodynamic, it's purposeful, it keeps cool, it keeps warm. So it'll be very interesting to see that those who are leaving, you will make the decision either to keep your avatar or to transcend out of it. Okay, so it's totally a personal choice. Some people will be going on the mothership and leaving. Nibiru does not stay here. It only comes, and it comes during that time. They do teleportation. They come and reestablish, hierarchies, but it goes back out of orbit. So during that time it goes back out of orbit. I think it's 3 years it stays in our orbit. Close enough? Can someone verify that? Some of you know more than I do. I think it's 3 years. Don't quote me on that. I think it's 3 years. 3 years. I think it's 3 years. Is it, Salu? You think so? I think it's 3 years. I think it's 3 years. I don't like when I'm frustrated. I wish I knew. Okay, so roughly, it's not going to be here that long. Some of you will be leaving. Okay, those connected to the Lyrians. Now, Lyrians, I know some of you Lyrians are having dreams about the cats. The cats at the door. Cats, Lyrian. A lot of you are connected to the Lyrians. I told you, the best ET community. And I always talk about my connection to the Andromedans and to the Niburians, and I walk in different groups, Zetas. I've talked to everybody in different groups. I have a connection to a lot of I'm a liaison between many different beings. But the best group in the world, I'm telling you, we got the Lion Gate coming too. Call me biased, but I love the Lyrian groups the best. I don't know how y'all feel, but when I go to the Lyrian groups, it is the most fascinating feline kind of vibration. The way that they feel that energy as the lions, it's a different it's something that you can so totally, like, I feel so in sync with. I just feel in sync with their vibration. So it's amazing. So big up to the Lyrians in the house. You will start to feel a connection to stargates, to vortexes and gates or openings, or because remember, Lyrians are the guardians of the galaxy. They guard the gates. That's what they do. So a memory, being connected to the Lyrians, you always have an acknowledgement that that's what you're supposed to do. So you'll see cats at the door. You'll dream about cats by the door. You'll start to have these amazing dreams of like, remember, cats can go in and out of dimensions. They see through dimensions. So you can also tell someone who's a Lyrian contactee because they can see, they pierce through the layers of the dimensions a lot easier than everybody else. They can actually see. And they're so fluid in how they move in their life. You know, Lyrians have a way of their movement is so, it looks cryptic, but it's like a smooth criminal. We need a song for them. Smooth criminal. The cat beings are cool. That's why the movie Cats came out. Y'all don't realize they set it up. The Cats movie came out. Remember, I'm from New York. So back when I was younger, we had the Cats Theater. Remember, anybody from New York and saw the Broadway movie Cats back in the days? Do you guys remember that? It was a great movie. Oh, it was a great movie. But the movie came out again, and my daughter had been, you know what? I forgot. Thank you. I know you didn't remind me. Thank you. My daughter wanted to see the one on that came out. I keep forgetting to get it for her. I gotta remember to get it for her because she wants to see Cats. That's a Cats. Cats came out again because it's talking to y'all. You Lyrian beings, whatever you do, because remember I met y'all. And with the Russians coming in, because remember, I told you years ago, if you watch the video, I don't even know how many years ago that was. I was with my mom and dad in New York. Remember, I was in a car, and it's the first time I had conscious contact with the Lyrians, and I was in shock because it was in Russia. And I was somewhere with a dome in Russia, and it had wings, remember? And then they had the crop circle with the cat with wings, and it bugged me out. I totally didn't associate it. She had jeweled wings. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. So I didn't know the cat beings had wings. And then we go into the Sphinx. You know, that brings so much more relativity to the Sphinx. Because you think to yourself, the Sphinx is actually a real species. And then we're walking in the waterways. I'm sorry. I'm like disgusting out here. I'm gonna have to go in because I'm felting. We went into the waterways together, and she was Russian. And remember I told you she was connected to the Bolsheviks, and I didn't understand what that meant. And then some of you were like, oh, what do you mean the Bolsheviks? That's crazy. I don't know why. And we were friends. We were friends. She knew me. And then I told you I was walking with a being on the street, and she used to bleach her patches. It's crazy. Listen, I've been in contact with beings. She was bleaching her patches. Her patches were almost gone. So me and her were walking after I had the meet and greet with my homie, who was like some sort of empress or something. She was some sort of cat being. We were like in a waterway, walking in her wing. She was the most beautiful thing. And then this cat being that I was with, in order for her to be here, she had to bleach her patches. And I thought it was odd because I was like, why? And she had it on one eye. Her hair was straight. So she would be like what you consider to be a lunar, but you know, because cats have different color fur. So I hate to say that because it's not really lunar, just not colored. You know what I mean? She was light, but she had patches on her skin that she was bleaching. And she let me know that that's what they have to do sometimes to come here to Earth, to kind of mix along with the others. You wouldn't know the difference. Like, she walked upright. She wasn't anything weird. She had a very smooth walk about her. Like, a sexy, what is like Jessica Rabbit kind of thing? Like, she had a sexy walk. Even like she was walking kind of like regular. It was kind of sleek, like a cat. like sleek, not purposefully sexy, but just smooth. Smooth is better. Smooth. It was very beautiful. That to me, like I said, I've always been enamored, and I'm not connected. I don't have Lyrian in me. I don't have, but when you're exposed to them, there's an admiration of that. Okay, so with that Niburian, some of the cat beings will be entering, going back on the ships. I know there are, who else is on that ship? I know there's Syrians, bird beings, people who are connected to the birds. You also can go back on those ships. So you have your connection to the ships as well. I know that there's certain people who did their bids here. So some of you were volunteers, and you can get into Dolores Cannon talking about volunteering from coming other worlds. You volunteered to only come for the cycle to assist. So some of you will be going back on the ship to your own motherlands, because remember, Nibiru doesn't just stop here. It's like a train ride. It stops here. It doesn't really stop. It comes here, but it goes back around. It's going to go to other places. So many of you are going to be returning to Nibiru to be able to go to your home worlds again. So you may not even be here. That's what I'm saying. Not everybody here is for the shenanigans. So that's why I say I can't judge you a lot of times, because I don't know if you're on world, you're going off world. You might be going home celestial wise. Some of you have done your bid. Your family, your celestial family is waiting for you. They watch us like the Truman Show. They watch us. They root for us. They, you know, they really, like your celestial family. Some of you can't even get a dude because your celestial husband or wife is got you on lockdown. She's got you with like an etheric chain around your foot, because she, you know, you got a husband and a wife in the other realm, you know, in the other celestial realms. That's when we go into the spiritual husbands and wives. You literally have families on the other side. So you go and return them to them. Okay. So it'll be interesting to see how you guys do that. What else? Who are the other beings on there? I did the Lyrians, the Syrians are on there. Oh, there's like a rock. I don't know. Nobody talks about them. They actually lived here when some of the concepts of people who call themselves the flat earthers may know more about this, but there are rock beings, like rock beings that actually look like rocks, stone beings. I don't know who talks about them more. Is it, who's talked about the rock beings? Who's here? Somebody, oh my God. You know, we don't talk about them very often. No, they're rock beings. No, they're literally stone beings. They were here. You know, even with the flat earth theory, you talk about them like they're actual beings that are stone. I forgot. Somebody, I know they exist. Oh, yeah, like in a never-ending story. Thank you, Sea Star Sirius. Yes, like in a never-ending story. Okay, well, I don't know too much about them. I know they exist, and I know they're on Nibiru because I've seen them on the ship. If anybody is connected to those rock beings, the stone beings, you can talk to me. I don't know. Remember, there's so many different beings here, way beyond anything that we've known, that I can't possibly hit everything that's on the ship. It's only what I've been exposed, and only what I'm allotted frequency wise to know. Oh, the Andromedans. Okay, so big up to all the Andromedans in the house. You know what's so crazy? Because I'm connected to the Andromedans, I tend to leave it out because I feel like y'all think I'm biased all the time. So big up to the Andromedans, the bloodline of the Mayan, Incan sea stars, and also, you know, they're connected to a lot of the Haitian, the Creole line, and the Latin line. Okay. Okay, so the Andromedans are here. Now, there are the warriors. They reestablish order, law and order. They're the ones who will set up the perimeters of what occurs, and also the hierarchy will be ran and also monitored by the Andromedans. The Andromedans are literally the sea stars. Now, when I say the Andromedans used to be earthlings that coexisted during the Mayan Empire, before the last pole shift, they went in the inner earth. They exited out of one of the stargates, and they ended up in the Andromedan star system. Okay, many of us, including myself, is seeded from the Andromedans. Now, do know that the actual blood lineage of the Andromedans, the original Earth Andromedans, are from the Nega. They are cousins. They are kin. That's why they rock the snake, but they have the rainbow around them. Okay, that's why I have that field of rainbow. It's probably why I had the rainbow event occur. Okay, they seeded themselves, specifically one that was found on the dark side of the moon. There's somebody who says that is not true. It is true. She came back and she did not die. They brought her body down when she was crashed. Her ship crashed. She was brought down. She never died. I talk about her connection to Tituba. I talk about her connection to Marie Laveau. Okay, she is the one that's called the witch. She's the reason why you have the Wiccan religion, because Tituba taught the European young girls how to protect themselves and during the Salem witch trials. Salem, the time when the Salem witch trials was so big, it was really Teachable who taught them that. And when they went to go murder all of the girls because of all of the evangelistic, crazy, patriarchal men who did not like the women being able to protect themselves and doing rituals so that they could have beautiful births, and they were disallowing men to rape them, they decided to criminalize the women, and that's when you had the witch trials. But the witches came from Teachable. It's amazing that only some acknowledge it and not all, but that is from her, and she is the Andromedan who brought that. Okay, she also shapeshifted because just like a vampire, they don't die. Her age, the way that she chronologically goes in time, aging is a deficit. It isn't what she did. So she lived through time like a vampire. So she stayed in one genre as what I know to be Tituba, then went into Marie Laveau. That's why I say she's connected to the French Creole line, but she's connected to the Latinos as well. Okay, she seeded her blood lineage within the sisterhood all through the French Caribbean, the Latin. You'll see her lineage in Haiti, Dominican Republic. You'll see her lineage in Martinique, Guadeloupe, Dominica. You'll see her lineage all through Barbados. You'll see her lineage in New Orleans. You'll see her lineage in Mexico. You'll see her lineage in Honduras and Panama. That's all her. She seeded her blood, her sisterhood. We're all seeded. And that's why we have the same dreams. We also have the same dreams. So we dream fast. So that's why anyone who is Andromedan or comes from that Mayan blood lineage of that particular Mayan sea star, you dream fast with the other sea stars. So we all have the same dreams. That's why you may think something and I'll make a video about it, because we literally have a hive mind, because we're seated by the same queen, empress. So a lot of us, if you're thinking something and all of a sudden I come up and I say it, it's because it's in all of our minds. The difference is I'm just having the platform to do it. You probably do it on yours. So that's why our minds are very similar. When something's about to happen, we all have it. We dream fast. The Andromedans, we all dream fast. That's why even when you talk to another Andromedan, she has the same mindset as you, and it kind of bugs you out a little bit. You'll be like, how come she has a mindset like that? How come she knows, and you'll know because you recognize it, because you see your sister in everyone. One thing with the Mayans, Andromedan sea stars, you see your sister in the ones that are seeded from her. So you'll look at it, like I met Ada for the first time, she looked like me. I could tell she was seated. She was seated. She looked like me. And my eyes, when I saw her, she was an Andromedan. Who else? There was another one that I met and she would look like an Andromedan. I was like, she looked like my sister. And it's weird because I don't have sisters. Remember, I don't have a sister, but I could see it in her. And I could see it in her language, her thoughts, the things that she knew, the information that she recognized. I could see it in her. It's because we're all in that hive. It's a hive. It's just we all have the same, the thought goes throughout the hive mind. Other groups do that as well. Other groups do that as well. Like the Draconians have a hive mind, insectilian groups have hive minds. That's why the collective will pick up the information and then they respond to it. Okay. So I'm talking so much. Am I talking too much? Please put a like on the video if you're up for the shenanigans. I appreciate everyone coming today. I know I have a lot to say. Whenever I'm in that wave, whenever I'm in the wave of intel, like these things, I could come quick with it, because it's, that's how it's coming from that knowledge. It's that wisdom's coming, like it comes in, and I love it because it flows when I share it with you. And I always say, verify everything I say. You never ever trust anything anyone online says at all. Never. You shouldn't trust anything I say, anyone says. You verify. You take what we share with you and you verify it yourself. You have to do that, and also to make sure the information isn't there to harm you or mislead you. You do that in a way that will verify if it's credible or if it's verifiable or if it's something that's meant to implant you with a thought or a pattern of behavior. Okay, it's very important for you to do that out. I don't mind you vetting information out. Matter of fact, I want you to do it because you find out more information based on that. So it's a little selfish on my behalf because I'd be like, yo, it's only going to be helpful for you to follow that, you go down that rabbit hole and then you find other great gems and then you share it with us. So that's the wonderful thing about us sharing that intel amongst each other. And, those who are anti to us having the acknowledgement that we are interconnected to the celestials, they won't fare well on this planet. We are going back to our original point and reference. We're going back to 0 point. And I think at the conference, the first conference I did that. So I talk about the return to 0 point. When we returned back to our, we left our motherships, we left our places, and we started together. Then our group splintered, and then they splintered again, and then they splintered again, and then we ended up going back. But when that homing beacon went off, right before the shift is about to happen, that homing beacon, we're starting to go back to 0 point. So we're going to pass all those reference points that we got to going. We're going to come upon those reference points going back. So you're going to meet a lot of the beings that you met previously. That's why you're getting a remembrance of Lyrians, because I've met them before. Remember I told you when I met the Lyrian being, I knew her. How did I know her? Because when I came from 0 point and went out and splintered out into the multiverse, I had passed her and I had met her. So when going back, I have a remembrance of the beings that I probably forgot about because I went so far out into the field. Okay? So it's a beautiful time. So family, I gotta go. I'm too long. Oh, this mosquitoes of mass destruction coming in my car. Oh, get out. Get out. I hope it was amazing. Thank you again for joining. I know I gave you a lot of information. I gotta go cook. I am a mommy on deck. I gotta go cook. I think I stayed longer than I was supposed to. Please, and also join me tonight, tomorrow night on Patreon. We're gonna go to the Prince breakdown of the telepathic messages that Sister Sirius is getting from Prince, talking about all the codes and the music, what he's brought about. So please listen to Sister Sirius. She will be tomorrow night on Aquarius Rising. We're doing that on Patreon, so do join us. And again, anyone who makes donations to the sanctuary will be on and popping within the next few weeks. I'm going to start building and doing things for the sanctuary solely. So I thank everybody for coming in. Thank you again. Please share if you have contact with beings. It's wonderful. And the stone being, for someone anyone who's seen the stone being, I don't talk about it. It's not a being I know I've seen them on a ship, but I don't really know much about them. If you've ever had a being that we don't have on here, like the one in Brazil, the gelatinous being that kind of looks like a goblin, but it was very sweet. I'd never met those before. I don't even know the name of it. And then remember, it was leaving me messages on my phone. So there's a lot of different beings here that's what I'm saying. Don't just take the uniform of what we know of the beings. There are many different beings that are interfacing with us, and many are connected to you. So please share if you want. Just share. It'd be great. I love you. Have an amazing, amazing day. And tomorrow, join us with Sister Sirius when the Prince Revelation. All right, y'all. Love you. Peace. Peace, peace, peace.